flows. If you don't know, you're messing with lyrical player pros like that. Wanna party with me?
Hello, everyone. My name is Freeman Jackson Jr., and you're listening to the Walking His Ways Impact Woods podcast, broadcast from the Dallas-Fort Worth, Texas metropolitan area. Today, my guest is an extraordinary individual with an amazing mindset, a heart of giving. My guest has over 12 years of experience with the public school system as well as private therapy practice. She's the founder of the nonprofit organization RAAVE DFW, and I'm very honored and pleasure to have my guest on here, of course. Go ahead and introduce yourself to the audience, and thank you again. I know you're a very productive woman, but I thank you once again taking time out your productive schedule to be here on the podcast. So go ahead and introduce yourself to the lovely audience this morning here on Walking This Way Impact Woods podcast.
Oh, well, thank you. I appreciate your time too as well. I know we're both very busy, and thanks for this opportunity to be on here. I'm excited. So a little bit about myself. I was a speech pathology major in college, and then studied speech pathology for a year, and then I taught in a private school. And then from there, I was like, I'm the best teacher here. Like, this isn't the place for me. Like, I need to grow. It's my first year. You know what I mean? I didn't want to be the best. Like, I wanted to go somewhere where I could learn and grow. And so then from there, I substitute taught for a while, and but I kept running into behaviors and autism, and I didn't know what to do. Like, I had a kid slap me, and I'm like, what am I supposed to do with this? And then back in the day, like, slap him back, but like,
right,
can't do that. So then I started researching, and I found applied behavior analysis, which is ABA. And so I worked there for 2 years, and it taught me a lot of what I knew. And so then from there, I went to the private school sector. And my initial goal was to train other teachers and help them be more knowledgeable. But then I realized I kind of found my passion with helping the children and their parents be successful within their community. And so that's kind of how I shifted from wanting to be like a teacher trainer to like just focusing on my community and the kids. Because they say, you know, children are the future, but they really are the right now. So what we're doing right now is gonna predict or set the platform for their future. So that's how I got here.
And that's awesome. I like what you were saying, how to re-instruct when it comes to dealing with children with autism. Because the first thing people react to, they react one way, but they needed to do it a whole nother way. So I like how you put that on emphasis on how to handle it a whole lot better, because it's like back in the day, if you asked your parents, love our parents, you asked them a particular question or you was curious about anything, they'll holler at you, they'll fuss at you. But just really just breaking down what's going on so we get a better understanding. With all that get a good understanding. So I like how you put that, because we like I said, we flop the handle for all the wrong reasons, instead of saying, you know what, this is something's going on, and what I don't know, let me get with someone who's an expert in that area to help me get a clear understanding. Drop your pride, get your ego out the way. You don't know everything. Get with someone who can help you. Once again, all that get a good understanding. And it takes a special individual as yourself to do the work that you're doing. I give you your flowers, I give you your roses, because everybody's not cut out for this work. But there's very few of you that are doing this work, giving back. And it's a pleasure that you're doing that. And I look at your work, your body of work, and how you're having fun doing what you're doing. So elaborate more on that. Doing something that you love to do, waking up every morning like, hey, I'm cut out to do this. I was born to do this. I was made to do this. What is that experience like for someone who wants that experience, waking up doing something that they love to do, compared to doing something that they despise?
Well, first off, I have to give a shout out to my mom. Every kind and good thing that I've ever done is because she was such a kind-hearted soul that I owe the world nothing but kindness, and to show them what it's like to have a kind soul. And it wasn't always like that. You know, they say if you try to do your hobby, they're probably not hiring. But I love kids, and within that, I found what makes me happy. That I give and it feels nice. I really do. And like I said, my best friend is also my president, and people wait a lifetime to find like a business partner with the same ideas. I only have to wait 8 years. And so it's an amazing feeling to have someone that wants to help just as much as I want to and advocate. And so it feels good. Like I really enjoy it. I love helping. And I'm glad that I'm in Dallas that has a market and a need to provide services and the support to do what I want to do, but just help and just the community outreach. And I know you said earlier, you said about the unknown and people not knowing what to do. The fear of the unknown is what drives, not knowing or not understanding something is what drives fear. So whether it just be with police or it's with other people, standbyers, or fearful of kids with autism, they see a kid in a tantrum, they don't know what to do. I mean, the fear of the unknown, COVID, that scared people. Is the fear of the unknown. We don't know. We're researching, figuring it out. I mean, even like the AIDS pandemic, the fear of the unknown always scares people, and you can think unrationally and not handle things appropriately. So my goal is to raise autism awareness and just disabilities in general, and so that way educate kids and adults so we're not driven by fear. Instead, we're driven by actual knowledge and hands-on experience. Because I don't want to say I'm going to sit here and train you, but I want to offer opportunities for you to get back to the community and interact with people that may have disabilities or abilities, as you could say.
Right. And like I said, this goes on every day in our community. It goes on every day in our world. It goes on every day in our society. It goes every day in the workplace, the schools, all that other great stuff that comes about. And we know that autism let me ask you this, are the youth being when it comes to autism, do they experience any type of bullying or things of that nature because people don't understand?
Well, now the good news is about this new generation, they're not like us in the 90s. They're very more accepting because you got to think they grew up with the Black president. They grew up with having gays being allowed to be married. So they're a lot more woke than what we are and more accepting. However, unfortunately, sometimes it's my kids that do the bullying because autism is a social disorder and they don't necessarily know how to play appropriately. So we have to train them. And so that's part of the thing. Like I've gone to the park with the mom in the past. In 2021, when it was hot already in May. And I go after work at 5 and I would show her, model to her what to say to her son and how to transition him and how to interact. And because I want them to have the social skills, but they scare the kids when they come after them and push them off the swing or whatever it may be. And so I would go with the parent, but I wouldn't tell the kid what to do. I would tell the parent what to say. I don't know if you've ever had dog trainings before, and the dog would listen to the trainer, but not the owner. And so that'll happen a lot. Like the kids listen to me, the therapist or the teacher, but then not to the parent. So I realized to get back to the community, to make the full circle, I need to come in and interact as like a parent trainer in the community, wherever it may be.
So it's all about putting the time and the effort when it comes to the individual. Like you said, being more receptive. Okay, like you said, with the dog trainer, they could be more inclusive with the trainer compared to the owner. Goes back with putting in the time and the energy. Once again, going back with all I get a good understanding, and that's going biblically for a moment. We used to read that passage of scripture for those who don't know nobody's affiliate or their beliefs, but it says in Proverbs, with all thy getting, get a good understanding. So we know that the understanding plays a role in all this that's going on. So I like that because we tap into something now where we'll start to address the elephant in the room more and more now. Because compared to back in the day, and as I was born in 82, and I was, born in the 80s,
I'm younger than
in the
you.
90s. Well, I'm still a young man, but you just want to take shots. But it's all good, it's all love. But it's just the point of having these uncomfortable conversations. Well, it may be uncomfortable to us because we never had these conversations, but now people are having these conversations on a regular basis compared to the 80s and 90s, where we're not having these conversations. We was not talking about sex. We learned more about sex on outside. This is this is a mature show, but we more talking about sex on the outside with friends. We was exposed to things on the outside. So when it came to talking about these things, and the way parenting was okay, if I have a issue, I have a problem, will they understand or will I get fussed at? And it's like I'm talking at you, I'm fussing at you, but I'm not understanding where it's coming from. That if I get a good understanding, help me out here.
Oh yeah, so like with autism, typically if the kid's already like escalated in behavior and upset, I back up and give them their space. The example I always give is if you have a significant other and they yap, and you like, shut up, like get out of my face. Like kids need that too. And so I back up. And then usually once they seem calm, we'll do de-escalation techniques. Then I still give consequences for their actions. Right. Just because you got upset and you hit me or ran away, we de-escalated you. So now there'll be consequences, like more work. We got positive punishment, so more work, whatever it may be, because you could have just sat down, but now you have to do 5 worksheets. And positive punishment is something the police use, speeding tickets. You speed, they add to your situation, consequence. The seatbelt clicker, ding, 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 ding. You hear that and you put your seatbelt on. So I give consequences, but then I also replace that behavior. So say for instance, the kid was transitioning off a toy, the iPad. And they're like, no, they scream and they go into behavior. So I'll de-escalate, give consequences, then practice handing over the iPad to me. So if they've always done it the wrong way, how will they ever know how to do it the right way? So it's always important to go back and practice the right way. They call it positive practice. So I gave you I de-escalated you, left you alone. I gave you your consequences. Now I'm going to show you the right way and reinforce you for doing that. And sometimes people don't want to listen. I'm going to go on a rant. I've had a kid before that bagged up because he was escalated. He used to run. So the fact that he just sat down and was there, and a particular person went to his face and he went and screamed real loud and gave her the bird with both fingers. And she's like, do you know what he did to me? And I was like, was he a safety concern? Was he hurting others? Was he eloping? Did he hurt someone? No, then give him his space. Leave him alone. Just back. He'll calm down. Like, if he's escalated and you up here in his face, like, what good is that gonna do?
Well,
like, how would you feel?
I mean, yeah, it makes sense, and we got to comment too. Also, before going any further, I want to give a big shout out to Mr. Jones on the YouTube side. Big shout out to Charlotte Nash on the YouTube side. Big shout out to I want to say Miss D on the YouTube side. Big shout out to Carl Robbs. I never want to forget the people plugging in with us this morning.
Thank you guys.
Because y'all are the ones who make this podcast successful. Y'all are the ones who make RAAVE DFW successful because you believe in what these unique individuals are doing. So we never want to forget y'all. Miss Mary, I'm gonna say Miss Mary in the YouTube side. Don't want to forget her. Everybody's timing in this morning. Marcellus, I don't want to miss somebody's name. Look, if I say Miss M or Miss B, I don't want to butcher nobody's name because I know people butcher my name. It's Furman. Some people say Foreman and Freeman, but anyway. Also, I want to read a comment. Big shout out to Carl Roberts in the comment section. He's always talk it out and give examples so they can understand. That's what it's all about. I know you mentioned this escalation. I know that's something that's part of our job. I work within the law enforcement field, so that's
I'm trying to prevent my kids from seeing you.
Well, it's a lot of them there, and it's a lot of them there, but you'd be amazed on how these young individuals, that it was just a taught behavior, and then a lot of these young men that we around, they get caught up in these situations. They get it all about being accepted, want to be liked, want to follow the in crowd. But you as you get to talk to these kids have good intentions, but they just made a bad mistake.
Problem
Go ahead.
It drives from that is that if you have autism or ADHD, with autism, they call it camouflaging. You don't have a personality of your own typically, so you adapt to the behaviors that are around you. And that's how you get into the wrong crowd. And then ADD is impulsiveness, where you impulsively, I knew an adult that had ADD, and he went to Walmart and stole a big TV as if he was gonna get away with it. And he got arrested, and they're like, why'd you do that? He's like, well, my friends asked me to. Just that impulsiveness, just like without thinking of the consequences. So that's why it's important that, yeah, de-escalate, but give consequences. So later on in life, they can think like, oh, wait, when I do this, X, Y, Z could possibly happen.
But you know what? What would have happened if we would have had these conversations growing up? Like, okay, you want to do a certain thing, but break down the consequences like you said. Well, if you do this, X, Y, and Z will happen if you pursue that.
We have good consequences or bad consequences.
Right.
Going to work and getting the paycheck is good, you know.
Right.
But the thing about it is,
go ahead.
UNT got the first autism intervention program in I think 1994 or 96. So if you do the math, 2 years to graduate. So it wasn't really until 2008 till we were really staffed enough and aware enough to even know what autism was. We thought it was just a bad kid in class that didn't know how to act, you know what I mean? You're just like, why is he throwing a chair? Or that kind of weird person you grew up with, you're like, they're kind of awkward. Like, what's wrong with them? They're a little bit weird because we didn't know. Like, we just flew. But I'm glad we know now and we can make a difference.
And I'm glad you brought that up because you take it to a whole nother night. We're going to take a quick commercial break. And after this commercial break, we're going to jump right back into our Q&A conversation. And by the way, ladies and gentlemen, the name of this episode is called Embracing Differences and Uniting Communities. So wherever you may be watching us at, put hashtag Embracing Differences and Unity Communities. Let us know where you're watching us from. Also, if you have statements, leave your statements in the comment section. And if you have questions, put in the comment section. And I know my lovely guests will be glad to answer your questions as well.
I promise we'll get to the community in a little bit. So much.
Right, because I will go with my Cowboys hat today, but I didn't want to disrespect you like that.
And my 49ers first. So.
But I'm just saying, I didn't want to disrespect you like that. So anyway, that's another round game. But we're gonna jump into our commercial break. We'll jump right back into our Q&A conversation.
Tarrant County just spent $18 million on what?
Girl, they just spent $18 million sending inmates to Garza County because all 4 of our jails are filled here. And I know it's because these courts are backed up. This is a problem, but Mark, I know you can help fix this.
Okay, I know what I need to do. I'm Mark Clayton, judicial candidate for Tarrant County Criminal District Court 2. I promise to continue serving and protecting the citizens of Tarrant County by following the law, upholding our Constitution, ensuring fair and equitable sentencing, ruling firmly but with compassion. I need you to make your mark in 2024. Run to the polls and vote for me because your life depends on it.
Hey, what's up, everybody? We're back here on the Walking This Way Impact What's podcast. Also, I want to give a big shout out to my new subscriber, Fran Marie, subscribe to the YouTube channel Walking This Way Impact with Podcast. So thank you very much. Miss Jones says, thanks for sharing your knowledge. Awesome. So like I said, if y'all have questions, go ahead and ask questions, because this is a learning environment, because what we don't know can help us in the long run. It did not just with dealing with autism, because I know adults deal with autism, or a friend may have autism, family members. So
everyone knows someone, or even that weird person you have at work. I say weird, and you're like, something's a little bit off about them. It's usually Asperger's.
Well, yeah, hey, but you know, it really makes sense. And also give big shout out to Gladwater, Texas. Big shout
Gladewater.
Watching us right now. Gladewater, my bad.
It's the country. It's okay. Nobody knows it. But it's my hood, where I'm from.
Okay. Oh, you're a country girl. Gotcha. You're not a country girl?
From the country. Totally sick.
From the country, but you're not. Okay, but okay.
The shout out to Gladewater.
Okay. All right, Big Tyler, Texas in the house. Hey, cousin, you are amazing. Sure, that Shirley Thompson. Shirley, did I say that right? Sheila Thompson. Hey, help me out, man. It's all right.
I got you.
All right. So big shout out to Miss Thompson as well, watching us from Tyler, Texas. So I appreciate everybody that's tuning in this morning. You're getting all this love this morning. So how does that feel, getting all this love and support from people that's really supporting what you're doing? And just watching you?
I just hope this love and support can go throughout the community, because it's not for me. It's about what I can do for community, and like getting out there, getting support. People see things that they can help out, that they need help with. Maybe I can help them with their kids. Maybe they've never taken their kids to get a haircut, or they need help at the grocery store. So it's more about getting the knowledge out there and not being so fearful. And you said something earlier, and I don't want to cut you off if I forget. You said people in the workforce. So we do meals for the homeless. Last year we did 1,500 meals. Year before we did 1,200. There's multiple reasons why I do that. One, someone's like, why do you want to do meals for the homeless? They can help themselves. Statistically speaking, that's going to be one of my clients or my kids. Parents can die. Somebody can take advantage of them, take their disability check.
Oh, yeah, we see that all the time.
So I want to help that way. Two, the kids come together. So I have typical peers, and I have the kids with autism coming together. And I literally back up. They might have little tipples, and they work it out, and they organize it. And in my mind, it's giving the kids with autism skill sets to work with other kids. It's also giving those kids exposure to working with kids with autism, because these may be our future leaders, our future community helpers. And when they get older and they may work with a kid or an adult that has Asperger's, they would have experience instead of like asking them, and knowing how to adjust to different people. And being a leader or a boss, you've got to adjust per person when you want to be good at it. Because how you respond to person A and how you respond to person B isn't the same. So with my Meals for the Homeless, one, it does good for the community. People help me. Shout out to Lions Club. They help support me. I have friends from Chicago to help support me with that as well. But it gives the kids the job skills and that social interaction. So what if this kid becomes a police officer one day? They've worked with kids that have autism. They've seen their stimming or what may be perceived as weird. So it's actually giving all around leadership skills and community and volunteering events, and then giving them exposure. So it's not just I'm feeding the homeless, like I said, it could be my kids, and it's giving these kids skill sets, and they're not having to be so fearful. They're being exposed to it. They're having to work with them and work together and guide them. So, and that's my baby. Right.
And you mentioned something. You said some earlier. When you say when you go feed the homeless, they can help themselves. A lot of, if you look at it, and I see it all the time too, a lot of people that's homeless have mental issues, and they was put away from family members. They didn't want to deal with them anymore, because when you're dealing with someone who has mental issues, that's technically really a full-time job.
Oh, and that's
all by itself.
And if they stop
to really take care of them, make sure they take their medication. And if they don't, they stop. And that's another thing. They stop taking their medication.
And unfortunately,
go ahead.
Mental illness is hereditary. I always say sometimes that apple don't drop down, it dangles. It dangles. So typically if not every child, but like typically if the kid has some mental health issues, someone else in their family has it as well, so it's a complex thing. And so like I said, I just want to help them early on and try to reframe their brain, because someone once asked me, what's my clients or students' biggest accomplishment? And I sat, sit and think for about a minute. I said, honestly, trusting me saying that, no, your brain is wrong. Stop listening to your brain. And what I'm telling you, that I'm right. And like, you actually believe in me and trust me and listening to me. And so I see a comment.
Yeah. And these are Title I students from a low income school. So some of them have personality experience, what it's like to go hungry. What you want to say about that?
Our school, we have kids that personally know what it's like to go hungry. So I've also in the past, where I've done backpack meals on the weekends for kids. And my friends are so great. They'd be sending me like little instant mashed potatoes and stuff. And I would do meals for kids as well. But it's putting them on the giving side instead of the receiving side. So it reinforces empathy and understanding everyone falls on a hard time. So I'm allowing opportunities for them to just not be on the receiving end, so they can give back as well. Because sometimes when you're just on the receiving end, you never know what it's like to give back. It kind of becomes, you get stuck there. And it's just like, you can't get out of it. And so I'm allowing our low income students to have that empathy and be like, oh, that sucks to be hungry. Like, that's really sad. Like, let's help them out. So it's good for them to be on the giving and not just the receiving end. Thank you, Marcella.
Yeah, because basically a lot of them are raising themselves. You know what I'm saying? It's all about, in their mind, it's all, I gotta survive because I don't have anyone else to help me. So it's like being appreciative of the help they get, and not being treated as a castaway or a menace to society per se, but realize that
I call it tablet generations, where it's tablets raising your kid. Not saying every parent does that, but it's just like a tablet. Like, here's a tablet, go away. Here's some candy. Yeah. So, but
yeah, and I gotta give a big shout out to Miss Jackson. I had on the show last Wednesday, as she was talking within her family, they have family schedule time for family, like getting together, having meals together, enforcing, not saying, I almost say the word enforce, but bringing back that structure, bringing back that communication. Better talk about things. Back when the pandemic hit back in 2020, a lot of people said they considered that a blessing. Some people didn't like it. We know the suicide rate and stuff went up, but I'm not going to talk about that. But people said they really enjoyed that pandemic because they gave them time to relearn their family member, relearn themselves, because they got a chance to be able to sit down and actually communicate, talk about things. Because think about it, we in this world now with everything constantly going, we're distracted by social media, we're distracted by our cell phones, our tablets, our iPads. All this stuff is going on, but then we forget about the one that's at home who is dealing with a lot of stuff, who may have questions about a lot of things, concerned about a lot of things, don't know how to talk, know how to conversate, But I'm glad now that we're being more receptive of each other, that we can actually sit down and talk without passing judgment, if that makes sense.
Yes.
On each other.
No, it's like the fear of the unknown. So we're trying to do things so we don't cast judgment. We have understanding and empathy. And, like I said, then that's the most important part of it. And, so we do, like I said, the meals for the homeless, but you said understanding each other. So that's my baby, is also my policing events. Thank you, Charlotte. That was my baby, because I think Elijah McCalvin, I believe that was his name, don't quote me. He was a kid that was walking in Colorado and got killed by cops. whatever. Internet rumors he had autism. He was a massage therapist. And that one just broke my heart because I could see my kids or clients going to trade school and being a massage therapist. One, because you don't have to talk, you know, it's a social disorder. And two, it's a good trade to have. And so after I saw that case, I really, really wanted to do something. And like, I have friends that'll sit there and watch all these police brutality videos, all this sadness. Was like, but what are you actually going to do about it? Like, sitting here and being sad is going to do nothing but make me sad. Right. So, and then I met Marissa, like I said, my president, and then me and her just go. And so we're doing our next event in April. We call it Props with Cops. And the cops come, and they come and do board games and tug of war. We have bubbles, hands-on, because someone was like, they should read a book. I'm like, nah, they should see how these kids act. Because I had one particular minion, that's what I call him, a minion. He runs in front of the cops. He's like, Dah! And the cop was like, what's wrong with him? I was like, oh, he's done. Like, he's done for the day. Or I had one minion, the cop tried to give him a sticker, and the kid was like, mm-mm. He's like, yeah. And then finally, hey, take the sticker. But he didn't understand this kid was sensitive to textures that weren't dry. So in the outside world, not knowing anything about autism, you may have thought that he was being non-compliant, which I guess technically he wasn't, but it was a sensory-based problem, if that makes sense. So it wasn't him telling the cop no, because I don't want to do it, but to him, like, cringing at the thought of something wet that's not dry is like detrimental to him. It's like sensory overload. And so it's important for the cops to kind of see that, because the cop was like, oh, I thought I was doing something wrong. It's like, no, it's just a sensory issue, you know? And then so it's very important for them to see those little things. So someone's like, oh, you want to train the cops? Like, no. No. I want to provide opportunities for the cops and my kids to engage. And you got to think, to go back to what I said, my kids' mental health, not all of them, can be genetic. So some of the kids have probably already had negative police interactions that weren't positive with family members or however, whatever it may be. So I create these opportunities to at least have a couple positive interactions. You know, if the cops pull you away from your dad and slam them down on the ground, and then you also have mental health issues as well, you're traumatized by that police experience, and you have mental disabilities, whatever you want to call it. So it's like a double whammy. So we need these positive interactions. And as well as someone, they're being negative. They're like, well, what if not all the cops come? I was like, well, I'll host multiple events. And eventually, you know, when a Karen calls the cop on my kids for being a little weird because they have Asperger's, they're like, you know, that kid, you know, he was at that program at that school, or, oh, I've seen a kid like him before. This is how we approach it. Let's give him space. He's not a threat. You know, simple words. You know, let him say what he has to say. I got, maybe de-escalate. Don't pull out the guns, you know. So it's just to give the cops that exposure. Maybe his partner didn't go, but he went, you know. And so it's all about just getting that exposure within the community. And as well, another case that touched me was that behavior specialist in Florida. He was out on the street with his client. The client was running away, and I believe the cops either shot or tased him. And he was like, hey. And I mean, this kid was a grown up. He was like 30. He was intellectually delayed, playing the truck in the middle of the road. And I guess the cop was fearful because the adult was perceived to be non-compliant. Right. I mean, he's playing with a Tonka truck in the middle of the road. So, and the therapist got shot. And that touched my heart because that's me. Those are my friends. Registered behavior technicians. We're working with the kids in the community. And, you know, I've almost had the cops calling me when I had a client. We were at a restaurant and he started having a tantrum. So I took him outside and gave him space, playing ignoring, turned my back. This woman walks into the restaurant, kid you not, and goes, "There's a kid outside crying. Do we need to call the cops?" And the mom checked her. She's like, "No, that's his therapist. He has autism and they're working through it." But my thought process was, the kid's crying. So you're gonna call the cops and tell them the kid's crying? Like, you're wasting their time, wasting my time. And like, why did the cops even call because the kid's crying? To my point, the kid's lower socioeconomic status and or special ed have a 90% higher increase of having police encounters than their typical peers. And that's just them. At the restaurant, a lady wants to call the cops on me because he's throwing attention. Expose them to what's not in their everyday lives. Exactly. But a lot of my kids are even unable to go to restaurants or go get a haircut or go to a movie theater. One of my clients, his first year this summer, is able to finally go to a movie theater. Can you imagine having a kid or not being able to go to a movie, you know, or ever taking a kid to get a haircut? So I just go there and support the parents for that. And so going to a restaurant, someone called the cops because the kid's crying. What you gonna call the cops for? This is like, but I guess the fear of the unknown.
Right.
They don't know. They see a
That's
kid crying and throwing a fit and someone just ignoring it and giving them their space. I guess the
Right.
90s, you used to pow, getting in their face, but instead, I'll step back. I'm like, let me know when you're ready.
Well, you know, I'm glad you brought that up. I'm gonna take another
Commercial
quick
break.
commercial break, and I'm gonna time in on that about the police and law enforcement like that. So we'll jump right back into another commercial. Then we'll jump right back in our Q&A
Good
conversation.
afternoon, Fort Worth. Good afternoon, Arlington. Good afternoon, Dallas. Good afternoon, DFW. Good afternoon, District 33. My name is Peyton Jackson, and I am here to announce my run for Congress. It is time to replace all of the leaders who possess all of the power, yet none of the will. I not only need to see you online, Instagram is No Taxing with Jackson. More importantly, I need to see you at the polls. And thank you for your votes.
Hey, what's up, everybody? We're back here on the Walk in This Way Impact
Hey.
podcast. We're broadcasting right here in the DFW, Dallas, Fort Worth, Texas metropolitan area. I love being here in DFW. I've been here 3 years now, just to interact with extraordinary individuals yourself who's doing something positive. You turned your dream into reality, and you're giving back, and that's a beautiful thing. That it's a blessing to give
Get at
and
it.
receive.
No, I'm kidding.
Well, and that's awesome. And keep up the great work. Like I said, your mindset, you have the heart for it, you have a vision for it, you have a drive for it. Keep up the great work, and I give you your roses, because it takes a very unique individual as yourself to do this. We a lot of people always want to chase the bag, but you out here helping, changing lives. And now that you're educating other individuals on how to deal with autism, how to be patient. That's another thing, being patient. And we have some people, attention spans they're not long. They be so impatient. But you teaching individuals how to have patience when it comes
empathy,
to
understanding.
Yeah, and that's it, because we so quick to want to fuss, but we're not really, once again, talking about earlier, I know you talked about the fear of the unknown. Then just going back to it, all I get and get a good understanding. Just imagine how far we would be if we just really take time out to get some good understanding, some clarity on what's going on. You know, just like we so quick to fly off the handle, but then you realize, once you read these individual stories on what happened in their life, what transpired in their life, and how they demonstrate that, it's like, wow, dang. I didn't know they were dealing with all that. Until you read the story and get the information on these individuals, like, wow, that this stuff is going on every day.
Yeah, definitely. I think a lot of people have a problem with control. So they think by you, just like if you have an argument with your significant other and you want to get the last word in. Yes, as someone who cuts hair, it can be really intense sensory-wise for someone with autism. Yes, thank you, Justin. The sound That's the sound, the feeling, the vibration, the visual, seeing the razor blades and all that. So that then the smells, the oils, so feel, touch, smell. That's hitting all your sensory points except for taste. So the haircut one is a big deal. Like when I went with the parent, we did stories, conditioning, we warned the haircut lady, and we sat with them, and we did a lot of different behavior techniques, reinforcing, like every minute giving them an M&M or pairing with their favorite thing. I'm not an iPad person. However, when a kid doesn't eat food or when they don't get a haircut, I'll put that iPad. That's their favorite reinforcer. Let's get you to eat something more than milk. I'll feed you some yogurt, or you eat an iPad so you can be watching the iPad. And so you pair their favorite reinforcer with a non-preferred task, such as a haircut. Because it also helps clients with eating. I've had clients that would only drink milk at 6 years old, or I had a client that only ate Jell-O and pudding. That's it. And I'm like, no, I want you to have a social life. I want you to go out and date. What do we do as adults? We usually go out and eat and drink. That's literally all we do, like a dinner date. So I want my kids to function and have friends and be able to go out to eat. You can't have pudding every restaurant you go to. So that's another way, like I want to make them be functional and have friends.
Right. Also,
Miss Rowe, you need to be at an administrative level to spread your knowledge through a district. Your expertise can help with teacher retention and student behavior. I really appreciate that. I don't want to say your name wrong. Jerry D. I really do appreciate that.
Miss D. I just say Miss D.
Miss D, I appreciate that. The administrative role, that's a lot of politics. And I really want to help kids and be on the ground. And I haven't found a district yet that would allow me to be an administrative level, to be on the ground and help kids and not just seeing kids as numbers and pinching in here and there. If the opportunity were to arise where I could be on an administrative level to actually help kids and help teachers and the community, I would love that.
Give big shout out to Miss D. Miss D is in the comment section from 3-in-1 Services. Big shout out to Miss D.
Yeah, she helped me get my nonprofit together. Appreciate it.
Awesome. So she's in the comments. She did a great job, of course. Thank you, Miss D, for tuning in. She said she was going to time in and watching everything else. I appreciate her taking time out her productive schedule watching us this morning. And she said good info, of course, and amazing. So thank you once again. And also, people that's on the YouTube side, go ahead and subscribe to my YouTube channel. You'll get shows like this all the time. I'm always interviewing extraordinary individuals on a weekly basis every Tuesday, Wednesday, and Saturday morning. Because like I said, we want people to go back and listen to the episode we're talking about. You get something different out of it. Because we all helping, we all about evolving, and we all about growing. And I want to talk about that, how law enforcement now are getting to learning about the autism. They taking classes on these things, de-escalation classes now, because lawsuits come into play. Excessive force. That's another thing.
Autism's a hard one because you can read all you want to. I mean, reading's good. That's a start, right? That's good. The law enforcement are working on de-escalation and reading it. So y'all do that on that side, and then I can bring you the kids to apply it. Because it's reading it and experience it. It's good to have that book knowledge, but when you're on the ground, you know what I mean? It can still be a little bit scary. So I'm hoping to reduce that fear. So law enforcement are doing the training of doing de-escalation, and then I can have a safe environment where no one's called the cops on them yet, and you're interacting. So to reduce that fear factor, to understand better. And that's ultimately what it is, to reduce the fear on both parties.
Because at the end of the day, you want to protect yourself. CIA, cover your own assets, because you don't want lawsuits are involved. You can lose everything. So, you say lawsuits. Go ahead.
I don't want my kids on a news shot.
You know what I'm saying?
From
Because
my
a lot of
perspective,
stuff.
I don't want to see my kids shot or tased. I know it sounds bad, but like just when I read those stories, I'm like, that's my baby.
Right, because you gotta realize some, and I said we thank God for our law enforcement. I really do. But you got some high head. You got some high. So I want my thinking that we're bashing because somebody take it the wrong way.
I want to help support them.
Right, because you have some people who are high heads, and they can go overboard with trying to detain an individual. That makes sense what I'm saying?
Right, because the fear, and then you're driving off emotion instead of logic. Because fear is an emotion. So you gotta learn to figure out how to contain that emotion and then think logically in a crisis. And that can be kind of scary when you have someone that has a mental diagnosis. You just don't know what to do. You're just like, you freaking out yourself, and then you become irrational. You know, it's hard. Like when I first started working with a kid, and one kid just slapped the mess out of me, like, pow. I was like, well, no, I can't get them back. My boss is right here. So what am I supposed to say to her?
and the first thing you want to do, and that's another thing too, if somebody haul off and hit you, your front response is to hit them back. Or if you do hit them back, you're wrong. Or if you don't defend yourself, you weak. So all that stuff plays a role in someone's psyche.
And
go ahead.
That's back to people wanting control. Like when I told you when the kid sat out and gave the lady the bird, because he was fine, but people think they're more in control when they get that last word in, or when they're in your face. They think like backing up and giving you space, you're actually the one in control, because you're the one that's irrational and can't handle your emotions. So I'm stepping away. But people think being in control is being in your face, telling you this, and that. And it's like, nobody's winning at this point. They're not listening to you. They're escalated. But it's control a lot of the time. Like wanting to get control of the situation, people don't realize backing up and taking a breath and analyzing it is being in control.
Right, most definitely. And also, I want to talk about this. How can individuals support you in the work that you're doing? How can they be a part of the RAAVE here in DFW?
Yes, okay, so we're on TikTok, right? RAAVE DFW. It's RAAVE DFW on Facebook, RAAVE DFW on TikTok, and RAAVE DFW on Instagram. And starting next week, me and Marissa, my president, we're going to start putting content on YouTube, because I told you kind of the basis of what we do, but like on YouTube we're going to focus on like the behavior reduction. What does positive punishment look like? What does positive practice look like? What does correcting behavior actually look like? Like you can have me on here again. I can fill up another hour with
I will.
But because it's so much and so broad with everything, because it's Asperger's, autism, mental health. It's such a big, broad thing. But yeah, so we're on TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, and we're starting content on YouTube. There'll be more geared specific to training and helping parents and teachers on what they can do. Also, on my social medias, I'll make sure I post. You can always donate Cash App, PayPal, Zelle. We have an Easter egg hunt event March 23rd. Hosted by RAAVE. We're gonna have more than 2,000 eggs. It's gonna be in Grand Prairie. Come out, bring your kids. We also do, we've done adaptive yoga this summer. I'm taking on a project, bless me. I'm gonna do an adaptive basketball camp for kids with disabilities. And it could just be mental diagnosis, not necessarily physical, because I've ran into some kids that are high functioning. Just on the outside looking in, you may think they're a little bit bad, but they just have autism. So we've supported them at their basketball games and their practices. And I have one kid, he has severe autism, but like, why not develop those skills now? Because when he's in high school, he can be included. He can play on JV and varsity. He may not be in his typical gen ed classes, but if he has that athletic skill, who are we to deny him of that? So let's start working and giving them those opportunities to participate in sports. What a great way for them to be included, you know? So that's the thing I'm going to target this summer is hosting. I'm doing adaptive yoga and Zumba, but I'm really excited to do basketball. Because I never thought in a million years I'd be teaching adaptive basketball. I'd get real creative. But definitely. But yeah, just follow us on social media. Like I said, my YouTube will be more geared toward training parents and helping and giving examples of how to do things that we did talk about.
Man, that's what's up right there. Like I said, we are live streaming. We're live streaming on Facebook Live. We're live streaming on YouTube. Also, we're live streaming on X. Well, everybody know what X is. That's Twitter. So we are live streaming on all major platforms. So we are live streaming on Twitter right now on X. So I got to promote more of that too. So I mean, everybody don't do Twitter. Like, I don't do Twitter. Twitter is hard.
I'm on Twitter, but forget the posts. Twitter gets kind of messy. Chief Moso.
But I don't know with Twitter. I know you get a lot of followers, but a lot of people, I think it be some fake people on there that follow you. It's like weird, kind of way.
Weird.
You may get some real individuals, but then you got some fake robotic individual follow you on Twitter. We are live streaming on Twitter. But we are live streaming on Twitter right now this morning. And also this episode is going to be uploaded on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, iHeart Podcasts, and all social media platforms this episode will be on. So this episode is going all around the world. As we get live stream, also they can go back and catch the replay on Spotify and iHeart and Apple Podcasts as well. Now nobody requests for time, so do you have any words of advice, any sounds of wisdom that you want to leave here with the audience, and also plug in once again plug in all your information so people can
so again follow me on Facebook, RAAVE DFW. It's RAAVE with 2 A's, RAAVE DFW, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and we're starting our YouTube content next week. That's a great way to support. Just watch and you can see what events we do have coming up. We have the Easter egg coming up. I have the Props with Cops event coming up. And so, what else coming up? Make sure I get everything. I'm doing Meals for the Homeless, and I can always need help with that, whether it be like my Lions Club family branch, shout out. They're making all the sandwiches for me. I have another group making the desserts for me. So it's a lot of help. Like you can either donate money or donate your time, but either way, you're giving back to your community. I really enjoy looking forward to listening to more. Thank you, Charlotte. Thank you.
Thank you, Charlotte. Thank you.
The words, I just, if anything else, lead with kindness. And if you ever come across a crisis or anything like that, sometimes the best thing to say is nothing. The best thing to say is nothing. When a moment's intense and a lot of things are going on and you don't know, like just step back and just be quiet.
Yeah.
Just step back. So be kind. Try to think logically, not emotionally. And when things are chaotic and crazy, just, be quiet.
That's it.
And reassess later.
And that's it. That's why we got 2 ears and 1 mouth. You gain more by listening. Be quick to hear and slow to speak. If we apply that to our life, just think about how well advanced we'll be if we be quick to hear and slow to speak. Because we don't know everything, and we think we know it all, and we really don't at all. Big shout out to Hank James. Big shout out on the YouTube side. Thank everybody for watching the YouTube side as well. So we appreciate everybody. But we won't hold nobody up. This is Saturday. We know this is a day of rest.
Yes, thank you guys for listening to me. I'm just a teacher out in the community, so I appreciate you taking your time and listening. I really do. So
awesome.
Thank you to everyone. And thank you for having me on the show, having faith in me, and working with me. So no.
Oh, no problem. Like I said, keep it the great work. I give you your roses right now. So keep up the great work, knowing that your work is not done in vain and your labor's love is not forgotten, because it takes a very unique individual as yourself, like I said earlier, to do what you're doing. And that's truly a blessing. So like I said, you're a very productive woman. I don't want to hold you up. Big shout out to your mom, of course. Big shout out to her for raising a great daughter. So like I said, y'all have a great Saturday. I'll be back here Tuesday night, 7 p.m. on the primetime episode of Walking This Way Impact With Podcast. Remember, love yourself, respect yourself, honor yourself. tell yourself I'm great. Tell yourself I'm a genius. Tell yourself I'm smart. Tell yourself I'm beautiful. To the fella, tell yourself I'm handsome. To the lady, tell yourself I'm gorgeous. Tell yourself I am successful. And tell yourself that my life is on fire. When I say on fire, I'm living a great life. Set goals. Set weekly goals, monthly goals, yearly goals. Keep your life.
If you're not successful, then say, what am I doing that's not successful? What do I need to do to be successful? And get that bullet list. I struggle with that too.
Oh yeah, most definitely. So, like I said, you know what? That keeps your life going too. You know, you set your goals. Keep your life more interesting. Put together mental notes for those who you have a mental what. If you don't like to keep it mentally, just write it down. You know what I'm saying? Work on your life. You know, this is your time to work on your life. You know, redesign your life.
Write it down. New age people, put notes in your phone. Send videos to yourself of goals. Because some people don't like to write, you know, new voice memos, different kind of ways. So yeah, definitely. But some type of tracking. Some people journal. I take notes.
Right, because I'm all about the mindset. I'm all about dealing with the mindset. Change your mind, you change your life. You know, you got to think highly of yourself. Don't wait till everybody else. I say this too. Nobody's not gonna come to your front door until you get your life together. It's not gonna happen. You got to get out there and make it happen, and get out of the why me, poor me. Nah, get out there and make it happen. The world is waiting on you. You know
I'm ADD. And so, and anxiety. So like for me, it is a struggle. Like I have to make myself get up and go, make myself get up and do these things. And I don't want to hold you up, but even such simple tasks, getting up, brushing your teeth, people with ADD and anxiety is literally like not habit for us. We have to like make ourselves and like make lists and goals and do, because like you said, no one's gonna be stepping on your door. So, or making you do it, you got to get up and do it. And someone that struggles with the diagnosis, like you got to get up.
Yeah, and that's the thing about it is dealing with this is a whole nother episode. But the thing about it is dealing with the self, dealing with the ego. Because I remember, and I know I had it. Like I said, I got to work this morning, and I know one of my coworkers, he was staying over. He was just saying, "Man, I don't feel like staying. I don't feel like staying over." But I would tell him that's the mindset. That's your ego talking. Because if you fall into what your ego is saying, you're gonna defeat yourself and you're gonna feel bad about it.
Ego's the source of it all. When your feelings get hurt, it's your ego. But you're right. We can have a whole nother episode and talk about an adult living with ADD and anxiety and how do you deal with it, and how do you process it, and how do you move beyond that, and techniques you can use. Because I have a lot. Being a teacher and owning a nonprofit. So
Some ask you this: will you be writing books in it? Will you be writing books in the near future, or is that something that's on your list to do, or you know?
It's been on the back of my mind. I've started just kind of writing ideas and stuff, but the ADD part, it's harder for me to organize thoughts, like the hands-on and all that, and making bulleted lists, like. But the book part, I would definitely have to ask for help. Someone that has I'm an orange personality, which we can get into that in another day, which means I have big ideas. And like my CEO, president, God bless her, she's good at getting those big ideas and putting them in little things. And then together we can make it work. But yeah, definitely.
Oh yeah,
ADD entrepreneur. But I love it. That's what I can
That's what it's all about. But like I said, just keep with the great work, keep the fire going, and all the other good stuff. Like I said, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to let y'all go. I know you saying that, but we're going to let y'all go.
Thank you guys so much for showing up. Appreciate you. I know it's brunch time.
Oh, yeah, it is. So y'all go, like I said, y'all go and enjoy y'all Saturday. Be back here Tuesday night here on the Walking This Way Impact What's podcast. Enjoy the Sabbath, of course, and we out this day. Peace, everybody.
Bye.
Johnny Domino, set that up.
You know, every time I do something, I got to keep it real with myself. I got to put everything a man up above. And one day, God told me, you got to stay prayed up, man. You got to stay prayed up.
I know life gets heavy sometimes, make it hard to breathe. But stay prayed up.
Talk to him, Adrian.
The trouble don't last always.
You know,
death ain't easy to accept. me.
What you always tell them?
And I see you on the other side.
I see you on the other side.
We all got a place at a time.
We got that time
and that's
coming.
the bottom line.
You gotta stay prayed up though.
The short as we live, we must die. When it's my time to go, I want you to know.
Hey, China, let them know how you rejoice on this verse.
They say rejoice when they die and cry when they born, and through the rain and the storms you gotta keep pressing on, cause you never know when your season gon' change. But you better know that your season gon' change and your time gon' come, and life could be a beer, and every single day that beat get realer. Yo, but life is for the living, yeah, so live while you living. And what is prayer? You telling God what you feeling, or you sitting quiet meditating so you can hear him. And he'll tell you how to make it and show you how to battle, cause it's a war in the matrix. And you might get some scars and some failures, but the race ain't given to the swift, you gotta pace it. Cause life is a journey, and I'ma keep praying till they put me on a journey.
I know life is heavy sometimes, make it hard to breathe.
You gotta stay prayed up.
The trouble don't last always. Death ain't easy to accept, but do this for me.
You know I'ma see you on that other side,
and I see you on the other side. We all got a place at a time, and that's the bottom line.
Our time coming.
So as we live, we must die.
I want you to know.
When it's my time to go, I want you to know.
Hey, D1, give me that real life experience.
D1, it feel like I'm cursed, but I know that I'm blessed. I smile on the ground, but I know that I'm stressed. My partner got murked, we just laid him to rest. Now I'm at the gun store buying bulletproof vests. I just left out of church, paranoid in the service. I'm looking at me mugged up, got me nervous. Saw him stand up, thought that he was finna blast me. Ren gave his life to the Lord, walked right past me. Hold up, ain't prayed in a while. Hold up, remember back as a child, wanted to be like Mike. My grandma bought me Wheaties, couldn't have sugar cause she had diabetes. But those was the days when it all felt easy. Now I get depressed when I turn on the TV. I need me a blessing, so pray for me. Trying to get my soul right cause judgment day coming.
I know life is heavy sometimes, make it hard to breathe. But stay prayed up, yeah. The trouble don't last always. Death ain't easy to accept, but do this for me. Stay prayed up, yeah. And I see you on the other side. We all got a place at a time, and that's the bottom line. Stay prayed up. So as we live, we must die.
You know, I gotta send this dedication out
when
to my dog, my brother, Mr. Magic, and my sis Chastity. You know I stay prayed up. And to everybody that's not here no more, one love. Shout out to my dog, His Willie Key, Mr. Rolling on the guitar.